And welcome back to the Redeeming Work podcast, an initiative of the Institute for Faith and Culture. I'm Rob Pacienza, and I'm joined by my co-host and good friend, Chad Volkert. Chad?
Great to be here, Rob.
Absolutely. And today, as we've seen the last few episodes, we're joined by no stranger to the Institute, friend of ours, mentor in many ways, but he is Brent Burns. Brent was the CEO of J.M. Family Enterprises, a large private family-owned company. He joined in 2000, retired in 2025, but now serves on the board of directors. He was instrumental in navigating the company through the 2008 economic downturn as CFO and then CEO throughout the COVID pandemic. He's certainly known in our community and beyond as a servant leader, thinking through what does the company's culture look like for their associates? How are the core values implemented in every area of the organization? Also known for his philanthropic efforts throughout the community, serving with charities like Habitat for Humanity, Feeding South Florida, and the Boys and Girls Club, as well as Kids in Distress. Brent, welcome to Redeeming Work.
It's great to be here.
Awesome. Thank you. Chad, take it away.
Brent, awesome to have you here. Looking forward to our discussion. I know our listeners and viewers are excited to hear from you. You know, as Rob mentioned, Redeeming Work Podcast is our title and our theme, and we want to spread the good news of faith within the workplace amongst leaders. When you think about your tremendous career at J.M. Families and leading with purpose, faith, your Christian background, how did you define redeeming work itself within the office every single day?
You know, I think Colossians was really kind of an inspiring point for me where, you know, God's work is really laid out there where it says, whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord. And that's kind of been a guiding principle in everything that I do. I think work is it's a phenomenal team sport, and that there's a sense of pride and camaraderie and purpose that allows people to elevate beyond just the drudgery of I'm working for a paycheck. Hopefully, people can be inspired and feel like they're working for something bigger than just a paycheck.
Brent, let me just take a step back. I think it's important, and this kind of just came to me, but I think particularly people in the South Florida area, they might hear J.M., they think Jim Moran, they might think, car dealerships. I mean, what you've led for so many years at J.M. Family Enterprises, just give us the Cliff Notes version of everything J.M. Family Enterprises does.
Sure.
Because I think that helps set the context for your leadership in that organization.
Sure. You've heard me say that most people know us for one of two things, either J.M. Lexus, which we're very proud for people to know us on that basis, or the philanthropic work that we do in the community. But the reality is we're a $20+ billion company. We're Toyota's largest customer in the world, the exclusive distributor for Toyota in the 5 Southeast states. On top of that, we're augmented with a finance company that has almost $20 billion worth of loans and leases outstanding. We're an insurance company with over 15 million policies in force. We have just a whole host of diversified businesses that leverage core competencies in a number of different fields, and we've become a pretty sophisticated investor as an insurance company. Much like Warren Buffett, you have lots of insurance reserves, and we've become pretty effective at investing those surplus reserves and the cash flows. So
that's amazing. So with that said, how have you, through your career, navigated the challenges of preserving the company's culture and their values, but also implementing your own personal ethics and core values as well, and your unique leadership style?
Sure. So, It was the privilege of my life to have the opportunity to be mentored and learn from Jim Moran. But he passed in 2008, 2007. We worked ourselves through the financial crisis. And I took the reins as CEO in 2018. And we were at a 50-year point. We were celebrating the 50-year anniversary of the company, and we really needed to establish a path forward. And so what was critical was, one, doubling down to make sure that our associates never lost our culture and those core values that we had. But we had been so successful in the first 50 years, we had to make sure that we invested to be able to drive the company forward. And so not only did we upskill our associates, but we invested in technology so that they would have the best digital assets available to serve our customers and do their work. We reinvested in our facilities in South Florida. Most people would know when they drive by that new campus that we built in the heart of Deerfield Beach. And then it was important that we not only be great at our core business, but that we leverage those competencies to be able to diversify into other businesses and other investment opportunities that we had. And so I'm proud of the legacy that we're leaving and the foundation that we've built to take this company forward for the next 50 years.
That's awesome.
Well, I mean, the accomplishments that you just listed, Brent, absolutely amazing and life-changing, I'm sure, for thousands and thousands of employees, let alone customers that you've serviced around the world. You mentioned a couple of challenges there, right? The death of the founder, you taking over in the financial crisis and the changes. Has there been a moment in time where you can really look back and say, my faith was tested at this moment in time, and here's what I did to make sure that I led with faith and purpose for the betterment of the organization?
Yeah, it's interesting. I would say that seminal moment for me was long before J.M. family. Early in my career, high achiever, fast promotions on the fast track, and I was fired during a corporate reorganization, and that knocks the wind out of your sails. And I really had to find purpose for my life at that point. But I walked away from it and learned some invaluable things. One, execution can't overcome a flawed strategy, and that you've got to have both a timely, relevant strategy and great execution to be successful. But I think the biggest thing that I took out of this, and it has served me exceptionally well, is empathy. I understood what it was like to be fired. I understood that good people can be in circumstances beyond their control, and that bore fruit. And one, the relationships that I built and the direction that I took with my career led me to J.M. family. That was almost a decade before I actually started there in 2000, but that's what kind of led me and set the seeds of building relationship with them. And so that was just invaluable to me. But knowing what it feels like to be on the other side. And that was important in the way that I had empathy and connection with our associates at every step of the way. Equally important from a mergers and acquisition perspective to always put yourself in the shoes of the acquired. It's so easy to not understand the stress and the uncertainty and the lack of trust that could be there. And to make that work well, you have to embrace them and welcome them into the family and help them accomplish what you had strategically set out to do. So.
Yeah. That's awesome. I so appreciate you saying that. Don't want to get too philosophical or theological on this podcast, but I think it's important to note that empathy when Christianity was born 2,000 years ago was one of the virtues they brought to the world. It was empathy. It was always seen as a weakness whether it was the Romans or the Greeks. It was seen as a weakness. It was not seen as a virtue. And so I love that you said that, because that only the Christian can really understand the heart of empathy and why it matters in the workplace.
Well, and the other thing I would just mention, Brent, is the ability to be transparent in the moment of failure, or what you felt was a failure, being fired, right? Only to rise up and say, what is my true calling?
Right.
And as my mother always used to say, everything happens for a reason because of God, right?
No doubt.
And so you may not think that in the moment, I'm sure, right? As we've all gone through our failures, and most great leaders fail more than they succeed, right? Especially early on.
Yeah, I think it was Edison said he had to increase his rate of failure in order to get to the light bulb.
Yeah. One of the core values of J.M. Family Enterprises is culture. How has your personal faith influenced the culture at J.M. In the way that your team has been led, the associates that you've developed, and the organization over the last few decades?
Well, it goes back again to winding up there. It was the attraction was that they did business differently. And, I think the Jesuit roots of Mr. Moran, our culture was based on the golden rule: do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. And the thing that I think makes J.M. Family unique, and it's unfortunate because it's not peculiar, it can be done anywhere, is that we not only focus on what, but we focus on how. And style points matter, and how you do it, and being a cultural ambassador is critical. And so many other places will be all about the how and the results, irrespective of the carnage and the waste that is laid, and they will accept bad behavior for great performance. And at J.M. Family, you have to have both to be successful.
Well, speaking of the how, I mean, I've seen it firsthand that when we think about culture, when you tour the facility that you led that effort of expanding that campus. You see the how firsthand. It's not just we have a place to eat, but it's a place where community can happen. Where does that come from? That comes from a biblical worldview. There's places for daycare. There's a place to cut your hair. I mean, I'm only scratching the surface, but you help think through how does that get manifest here in a way that sets J.M. apart from other organizations. I think that how is so important for executives listening to this podcast. What you just said, it's not just about what, but it's about how. And I pray that our Christian faith would influence the how in our organizations, like you've led by example at J.M.
And it's so easy to forgive the how if people deliver great results. It takes incredible courage and conviction to say that's not acceptable, and you will corrupt the entire culture that we've got if we tolerate this in spite of the returns.
Yeah, absolutely. And you think about the foundation that you've laid, the campus, the principles that you lead by. Still, we know that there's up-and-coming leaders or even existing leaders that struggle with how to integrate faith in the workplace. And so beyond sort of the foundational aspects, how have you advised or given advice to those up-and-coming leaders to be able to be transparent about their faith and lead with purpose in the workforce?
There's no substitute for setting an example and being that servant leader that's all about the greater good, not about yourself, but about the team and about the collective objective that you've got. I think that is that's the differentiator, and people will they'll smell a fraud in a heartbeat. And so that empathy and being genuine and being about something bigger than yourself, I think becomes contagious. And whenever you build that culture in your team, you wind up having, I relate it to these phenomenal teams that if you look at the athletes on the teams, they're inferior to probably half of the league, but it's the camaraderie, it's the esprit de corps, it's the ability to work for something bigger than yourself that delivers exceptional performance beyond what a group of individuals could do.
So good. Brent, generosity has always been a high value for you, but also been a high value for J.M. Family Enterprises. We talked about it in the introductory comments, Habitat for Humanity, Kids in Distress, Boys and Girls Club, the list goes on and on. Why is generosity and philanthropy one of a few ways, but a very important way for a leader to exercise their faith in the workplace? Why is this a something that we should be thinking about, how generous we are to the community?
It was a core value at J.M. Family, and that was that we give back to the communities that we live and work in. I think we had a bit of a unique way of giving back in that most people view giving back as a passive, here's the check. We looked at it and said, it's not just treasure, but it's time and talent as well. Yeah. And so if you talk to Habitat for Humanity, if you talk to Feeding South Florida, they will all tell you that it was the engagement of our associates, it was the Kaizen ability at a place like Feeding South Florida, where their throughput was, I think, quadrupled because we helped them set processes that made good sense. And in the midst of all of that, it enabled our associates to be, not just a part of it, but a part of something bigger than themselves. And then the beauty of all of that is that it's a virtuous circle. So if you give back and make a stronger community, you also are building up those future customers that are going to want to do business with a J.M. family because of what we stand for. And in many cases, they now may have the wherewithal to actually be able to participate in a way that they might not have been able to were it not for the time, talent, and treasure that we brought to the table.
So good.
Well, and to your point, Brent, the engagement beyond just those dollars. And you mentioned future there. Let's talk a little bit about the future. I mean, though supposedly you retired, you still sit on the board, but maybe share with our viewers the type of personal impact that you're making within the community on the next generation of leaders. What else are you planning on doing in some of your spare time now?
Well, I just spent all of last Friday with the Broward County Boys and Girls Club, which I have been passionate about for so long in our annual strategy meeting, and so I'm fully engaged there. Continue to be involved with Habitat for Humanity and just a host of other communities, and to the extent that I can be helpful with this ministry, I'm always available here, and I think that I'm at that stage in life where I start thinking about legacy, and the legacy that I want to leave is the lives that I've positively impacted, my family, the associates that I've worked with, the community leaders that I've worked with, and hopefully I've made an impact and made the world a little bit better place, and been able to illustrate the impact that Christ has on all of us.
Mm-hmm. Brent, last question. If you were to talk to 30-year-old Brent Burns, what advice would you give him?
A couple of things. One, and my kids have heard this from me. As important as what you do is what you don't do. I've had a very high bar ethically in terms of who I will associate with, what I will do. Again, a Jim Moran lesson here. He said to me, if your name was on the building, would you do it?
Wow.
And so I've always thought in those terms.
Great.
And it's not just the deals that you do, it's the people that you hire, it's the people that you associate yourself with. And I don't mean to say be self-righteous, but but you need to be unwavering with respect to your convictions and your beliefs. And so I think that was critically important to me. And then, another Jim Moranism that I had been a customer of J.M. family for years before I became an associate. And he sat me down when I got there and said, you negotiate great contracts, but you're trying to increase the size of the pie for the benefit of your team. He said, you're thinking too small. You need to grow the pie for everybody. A good deal is one where everyone wins. And that was he never lived by either or. He was a both and person. How can we do better? And we always started with how do we exceed the customer's expectations, and then it's incumbent upon us to build a business model that works with that in mind. And most people are always trying to fine-tune their side of the equation, and it's a bit of an afterthought on how do you address the customer side of the equation. And I would just submit that starting at the beginning, which is the customer, and working your way backwards and bringing that both and mindset into the equation just makes a huge transformational difference. And nobody did that better than Christ. So
that's right.
That's awesome. That's a good word. And Brent, on behalf of the Institute and Chad and I, just thank you for your leadership. I often tell our congregation here at Coral Ridge that retirement is not in the Bible. We might retire from particular task, but we never retire. And you are a living example of you might have retired from a particular role,
right?
But you keep on leading at J.M. Family Enterprises. You're leading in this community by example. You're leading me. You're leading a young pastor that's leading a church. And so I thank you for how many people you're influencing and continuing to impact and truly living out your faith and helping to redeem Monday. So thanks for being on this podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And that's all the time we have today on the Redeeming Work podcast. We pray if you were inspired or encouraged by this episode with Brent Burns, that you would pass it along to a family member, a friend, a colleague, anybody that's interested in thinking through how does my faith play a role in my work, our sacred calling in life. And thank you once again for joining us today. And we pray that you'll be right back here next time on Redeeming Work.